Afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and it's been raining and horrible outside, and I've been in the man cave taking all the mechanisms out of the machine guns, submachine guns, bolts out of rifles, slides out of pistols, so that I can remove them to another address and go overseas and not have to worry about people breaking in. There'll be people living in the house while we're away, but I just don't want them to be concerned, so that's what I'm doing. Also going through, just having a bit of an audit on the modern pistols that I have, because I'm going to flick a couple. I've got too many, basically. I don't shoot them enough. This video is going to be on the New Zealand firearms laws, because I keep getting requests to repost the old video that I had up. That's gone now, and it was a talking head video, which is, I'm afraid this one's going to be a talking head as well, but I'll just add a few things in just to keep it interesting, and we might talk about some of the handguns as we go, just to keep the handgun guys interested. New Zealand has one of the more liberal firearms laws in all the British Commonwealth. You'll be aware that the British imposed effectively a total ban on pretty much everything some number of years ago now. The Australians, in the aftermath of the Port Arthur massacre, did something very similar. The collectors there can own the type of firearms that I have, but basically you had to be a collector before the law changed, and it's subject to an awful lot more oversight and constraint. Firearms ownership across the board is pretty tricky in Australia. We have one of the liberal legislative regimes. We can, for example, if you have the appropriate licences, we are able to own handguns, shoot handguns, we're able to own military-style semi-automatics, and we're able to own collectible, fully functional machine guns, submachine guns, assault rifles, that kind of thing. There are some caveats to that, but as a general rule, we are pretty liberal. Again, everything's relative. Certainly compared to most of the United States, we're not. But then the United States has the Second Amendment, and that puts them on a different planet. There's really no use in comparing anybody with the US, because 2A just creates just a totally different universe. So we're lucky, we're very fortunate that we are able to continue to have access to this type of firearm if you have the appropriate licences. How long that's going to go on for is anybody's guess, and I've already indicated that the Small Arms Reduction Treaty, the United Nations Small Arms Reduction Treaty, which is probably going to be ratified next year, will probably give the ban the gun people an awful lot of elbow room, which they don't currently have. However, maybe that's a subject for a different video. What I'll do is I'm going to tick off the various categories of firearms license that we have, how you get them, what it means. I'll be telling little stories as we go through to illustrate not only how the law works, but also just some of the things that influence us and some of the constraints that are placed on us. In the first instance, I'm going to smoke too, because it's my protest. Moves are afoot in New Zealand to ban smoking outside. It's already banned in public buildings, it's already banned in restaurants. You're allowed to smoke in a public area. The censorists ban the everything bad for you bastards are now pushing to have it banned outdoors. Can't believe it. Smoking is dreadfully bad for you. It's hideous. I want to give up. I'm serious about giving up when I get back from Europe, because I'm going to be smoking all the way through Europe. It's just the nature of the beast. Be drinking wine and drinking coffee, and there's no point trying to give up till I go. But just as a protest to the censorious, supposedly liberal progressive bastards that want to control everything we do, I'm going to wave a handgun in the air, smoke my cigarette, and drink my fully fucking caffeinated coffee. Fuck a lot of them. New Zealand firearms laws. You will have a firearms licence. You must apply for a firearms licence to own anything more substantial than an air gun, and even then they're looking at licensing those. Our firearms licence is something that looks a bit like this. In fact, this is it. It's a card. This is the third lifetime firearms licence that I've had. When I first got my firearms licence back in the 1980s, it was a bit of paper. That was supposedly a lifetime firearms licence. They then said, no, we changed our minds in 87. We had to get another one, which was a booklet. That lasted for about 5 years, and they went, nah, we want to have photo ID on it, so now they've issued this, which is a card with your photograph on it. 3 lifetime firearms licences in one lifetime. In order to get a firearms licence, you have to be over 16 years of age. you make an application to the police, they'll do a background check. If you have a criminal record, particularly one something to do with domestic violence, crimes of violence, robbery, DIC, which is drunken command of a vehicle, you're probably not going to get one. If you have mental health issues, obviously you're not going to get one. They require that you provide 2 referees. These are people not immediately related to you. Those people are interviewed by an arms officer. He'll come over one evening, sit down, and they'll have a very frank chat about whether you're a trustworthy individual, whether there's anything that they should be concerned about if you have access to ownership of firearms. It works surprisingly well. You might think, well, you just get your mates to say, yeah, he's a good guy, he's safe, there's no problems. But people, when they actually sit down with a policeman and they're getting serious about, we're going to give this guy a firearm, have you got concerns with it? They will generally, if they have concerns, come out with them. And in fact, I have been a referee for one guy many years ago who asked me to be a referee, and I agreed to be his referee simply to be able to get in front of the police and say, for Christ's sake, whatever you do, do not give this guy a firearm. He's going to kill himself and or somebody else. So the system actually works pretty well. So let's assume you've got no criminal record, your referees check out. They'll also interview members of your family. If you've got a wife, they'll be very attentive to talking to her. Does she feel comfortable with the fact that you are going to have a firearm and it's going to be in the house? And again, she has issues. It's a confidential conversation. She can say what her concerns are, and the police can decline your application without giving you a reason. So anyway, once you've gone through the paperwork, you have to do a little test with the mountain safety people. You have to go to a place and they'll do a safety demonstration, basic handling, there's a multi-choice question. You get that right, your license is issued. That's the A category. It covers hunting rifles, bolt-action rifles, up to 50 calibre, and shotguns. Semi-automatics are a slightly different story, and I'll talk to that in a minute. Up until 1991, you could own military-style semi-automatic rifles on an A category ticket, and there was a time where the New Zealand Army did a big dump of its SLRs on the market. You could get them for about $500. So you could have those SKS carbine, AR-15, SLR, that sort of AK-47 Norinco clone knockoff semi-automatics. You could have that on your A category license. In 1991 we had a mass shooting in a place called Aramoana down on the South Island. Some low-life nut job kicked off and wandered around a small town with an AK-47 clone and executed 13 people. This raised a huge hue and cry about the whole issue of military-style semi-automatics. Demands that they be banned, demands that they be controlled. The government and the police reacted, I guess, as sensibly as they could. They didn't impose a ban, but they did say, we're going to create a new category of firearms license called the E category, which you will have to have if you want to own a semi-automatic, military-style semi-automatic. Military-style semi-automatic being something with a magazine capacity greater than 5 rounds, something with a flash eliminator, a bayonet boss, collapsible stock, freestanding pistol grip, all these weird and wonderful characteristics which supposedly create a military-style semi-automatic rifle as opposed to a semi-automatic rifle. I don't think it was unreasonable. They had to do something. We'd had our first mass shooting. Politicians had to be seen to be doing something about the problem. Whether it was effective or not makes no difference to politicians. All they're concerned about is covering their ass and say, we have done something about the problem. As I say, it may be completely ineffectual, but I understand where they were coming from. But here's the thing, here's where the law of unintended consequence kicks in. I said that there were large numbers of military-style semi-automatics in the hands of people with a general A-type firearms licence. A category firearms have never been registered in this country, and they are still not. We do not have a national arms registry. So the police have got no idea where the bolt-action rifles and the shotguns are. And up until 1991, they really had no idea where the military-style semi-automatics were as well. Now what happened, this is where the law of unintended consequences is such a beautiful illustration. The idea was to remove from the hands of people that really ought not to have them military-style semi-automatics. It was designed to limit the ease of access to military-style semi-automatics amongst the shooting community. What actually happened was, when the law changed, they said, we are going to re-vet you, you have to go through the vetting process again, you'll have